Older Redditors, what do young people get completely wrong about past decades? Probably underestimating how few choices there. It seems like everything imaginable is available in a variety of sizes, delivered to your door in mail order, with 4-6 week were the best thing ever. All the stores in one place, and not downtown. How common drinking driving was. Until Mad came along, people did this routinely. It's where one for the road originated, probably just how often you had to accept that you couldn't find out the answer to something. If you had a question you could ask your family, maybe your friends, maybe your teachers, and your last chance was to check the library. But if the library didn't have the answer, then you just had to accept that you weren't going to get an answer, or you'd have to hope to come across that answer someday in the future. Now you just ask Google and get 10 answers in just seconds. People who are 55 and happy with your life, what is your best advice to those under 25? Don't believe that all comments from this thread are from 55 old but good to follow. Learn how to save and invest money now. If you learn how to do this, 55-year-old you'll be forever grateful to 25-year-old you. 1. Act in good faith. This is fantastically underestimated. Cultivate curiosity, eschew judgment. 2. Tend to your relationships, even when and especially when you don't feel like it. 3. Prioritize being your best, physically, emotionally and mentally. The two biggest decisions are your career and your partner. Your career will probably change and it's not too bad to change, but changing your partner can be a nightmare. My best advice is to be careful who you settle down with. The people I know my age that are unhappy because they picked a bad partner. People who are perpetually late. What's your deal? My brother is consistently several hours late. Won't call, respond to texts, just appears without explanation. Apology. I stopped making plans with him after he asked for a ride to the airport, told me to be there at 5 a.m. and he wasn't even awake yet, because we didn't need to leave till 8. That mofo intentionally told me to be there 3 hours early because he has poor time management skills and assumes everyone else does. It's infuriating. My ex used to set all of the clocks 10 minutes fast so she wouldn't be late for work. It didn't help, she was still always late. I'm the opposite, I'm always ridiculously early to things. 10 minutes up the street? Better leave 30-40 minutes early. Whoops, made it in 6 minutes. Guess I'll just sit here 30 minutes. But when I'm late, it's because I don't want to be there. What are signs of a highly intelligent person? People who ask insightful questions. Even if they don't know much about the subject, they're already synthesizing brand new information into terms they can relate to while also drilling further into the parts of that subject that matter most. Having insatiable curiosity. I don't know, but does. Let's ask them. If you think you're a genius, you tell you're a genius. People tell you. Thinking analytically, breaking things down. They know when to be quiet. The understanding of abstract ideas. Most people aren't truly capable of that. Many of the intelligent people I know are very insecure of their intelligence, and you cannot ever convince them that they are smart. The 3 most remarkably intelligent people I know don't care at all about their intelligence, they just like life and are genuinely enthusiastic about stuff. What does the wealthiest person you know do for work? My friend sold RuneScape Gold. He made a fortune. They inherited a huge corporation. They just don't have to F it up. Whatever he wants. He was an NFL quarterback though, so he doesn't have to do jack shit these days. Own their own conveyor belt business. Makes almost $2 million a year after it's all said and done. Both in tech. Friend is in a company about to IPO and is VP level, so will do well there. Her husband just sold his gaming company to the biggest gaming company in China for, as she put it, life-changing money. Both very intelligent, super nice, crazy hard-working. They worked for it, and it couldn't happen to nicer people. I know the owners of the Four Seasons hotel chain and the owner of Canada Goose. What is a great show that got cancelled for no good reason? Gotta say Mindhunter. Really seemed like one of the only shows that Netflix actually dragged their feet on cancelling, seeming to hope Fincher would return to it. The Og Teen Titans. Pushing Daisies. Basically any Netflix series that people want to keep watching. Deadwood. Those HBO cocksuckers. Futurama. Then Futurama. Also Forward. I'm most worried about Futurama. The Tick. That show was before its time. Mystery Science Theater 3000 was cancelled because the new CEO didn't like it. Turned out no one liked any of the new CEO's decisions. Freaks and Geeks. Almost Human. Love that show and it never even got a chance. Dead Like Me. Better Off Dead. Happy endings. I would pour thousands into a reboot just to get Casey Wilson and Eliza Coupe back on my screen. What is abuse and people don't realize it? Reactive abuse. Basically, abusers will poke and prod their victim so much until their victim has an explosive reaction. The abuser will then use this reaction as justification for their abuse or to further manipulate and gaslight the victim. Sibling rivalry that goes unchecked by parents. Man. I can't believe how common ignored sibling abuse is. Neglectful parents plus unruly children is a recipe for disaster. Manipulation under the guise of caring for what happens to you. Mothers who treat their sons like surrogate boyfriends' husbands. If their sons dare to have a girlfriend or get married, these women act like they're being cheated on. Neglect is abuse. Invalidating your feelings by making it about them and how you holding them accountable is upsetting them. What is something that makes you say, man, I hate people? Working in customer service. When people twist the truth and accuse you of things you didn't do and people side with them. Adults who take youth sports way too seriously. People who litter. Especially when there is a bin literally a meter away. Employers who didn't do cost of living adjustments after the recent wave of inflation. Worked retail once. Swore never again. People that treat animals badly and many more things. What is the most addictive game you have ever played? Goddamn Sims. It just had this thing about it. Addictive AF, old school RuneScape, Civilization V Just One More Turn, Factorio. A game about automation, industrialism and the effects of excessive sleep deprivation on the body and mind. EverQuest. I mean, it wasn't exactly fun. It was extremely frustrating in a dozen ways, but my wife I played it for about a year. More hours than I care to admit. Never again. No game has ever sucked me and wasted my life since. World of Warcraft, modded Minecraft. I'm glad I cannot see how many hours I've sunk into it. Stardew Valley, I started one day and now I can't. Some people are saying they tried to play but didn't know how. Message me if you have it on PC, I'd be happy to help and maybe even make a farm with you. Skyrim. What is the most common and easily avoidable mistake guys make with women? Continuing to pursue uninterested women, often by becoming a friend of the woman who is always hoping to date her, rather than cutting their losses, and moving on, and finding someone who is interested. I've seen a guy follow this pattern for close to 20 years. Applying your previous relationships to your new relationships. For example, I took it to heart when an ex called me clingy, which led me to try and play it cool in relationships after, where big romantic gestures would have been appreciated, that I would have loved to have done, but didn't because I thought it would make me look clingy. What movie deserved a sequel but never got one? I am still disappointed we never got Spaceballs 2: The Search for More Money. Constantine, District 9, Dread, Master Commander, The Man from UNCLE, The Losers. They even had the setup for the next movie. I'm forever disappointed that I won't get a sequel. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. There were plans for one but it never got made. A true cult classic that deserves to continue. The Nice Guys, Big Trouble in Little China, Office Space 2 Silicon Valley, Big Hero 6, Team America World Police. Not necessarily a sequel but just more Cabin in the Woods. Galaxy Men, Rock'n'Rolla, Serenity. I never even heard of Firefly until years later until my girlfriend told me about it. District 9, Push starring Chris Evans and Dakota Fanning. It's one of those movies that I swear was a dream at times, but I need more of that world. What's a fact that was taught in school that's been disproven in your lifetime? All fat was bad for you. Thus fat-free foods became a thing for a while. Strangers will give me free drugs on street corners and in Halloween candy. I learned tongue taste maps at school. Turns out it's complete nonsense. In pharmacy school around the turn of the century we were taught that people in legitimate pain don't get addicted to opiates and opioids. That George Washington's teeth were made of wood. No. It's so much worse. Eyes. The food pyramid. No one is going to wait for you to look up information in the real world. You have to know. It has to be the most insane thing I ever heard. Once you get to high school, nobody will accept papers not written in cursive. What's the female equivalent of don't stick your dick in crazy? Just because it's good for your hole, doesn't mean it's good for your soul. I'm fascinated how the male one doesn't rhyme but the best ones presented all have a rhyme feature. Close the shutters from the nutters. Don't buy the entire pig for one sausage. Close your legs to powder kegs. Don't let the mooch in your cooch. Pretty sure it is basically no scrubs TLC. Don't let a loon in your poon. Shut your flaps to crazy chaps. Don't fill your minge with cringe. Your vagina is not rehab for broken men. Red flag. Don't shag. My mom always told me don't put it out for stupid, so in the most literal terms probably wow. Thanks for the upvotes. I hope this helps any person tell their daughter what to look out for. Lamau. Deadbeats are for the streets not the sheets. This thread was an unexpected surprise of sentences I never thought I'd ever have to read. What's the most addictive food you ever ate? Chips. Salt, fat, spices, crunchy, perfect size. It's just the ultimate food for me. I learned to bake bread to be healthier and this resulted in my routinely eating entire loaves of bread. A dangerous, delicious hobby. Pistachio nuts are pure crack cocaine. Sometimes I leave and shell an entire bowl first and then go feral on them. Taco dip. I've learned not to make a big batch for myself with plans to have leftovers because it doesn't matter how big a batch I make, I will eat it all. I once made popcorn with wheat butter at 4 p.m. on a Friday. It was so good, husband and I stood in the kitchen inhaling it. We finally came back down Monday around 10 a.m. and call it the lost weekend. The only thing we remember from that weekend was how hysterical a gallon of milk was at some point. We decided for safety never to do that again.